This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let's get started. In Java session, last class, I have explained about a basic introduction of Java and basic programs using just some math functions such as arithmetic, plus, minus, product divided by, and I also showed you how to create reusable functions and call them in the test cases. So we will continue with the same today. So basically Java is a OOP language, meaning it's an object-oriented programming language. So like the name suggests, it's object-oriented. Everything is in terms of objects, right? Everything is an object, whether it is a variable or function or collection, string, anything, just variable, function, classes, all are objects. And in the physical world, objects occupy some space, right? So like pen occupies some space, and likewise the objects that we create in Java also occupy some space in Java Virtual JVM. So in physical, like virtual, in your hard drive, they literally occupy some space. So if you use more variables, more methods, then obviously it's gonna occupy more space. So optimization is very important. So hence the concept of reusability. So instead of creating the same function again and again, we'll just create them once and reuse them again and again. So that's the reusability concept. Object has two things associated with it, right? So what are those? Object has properties and methods. Okay, methods are functions. Okay, let's not mention the name function. So properties in the sense, okay, so if you take a pen, right, it has properties. What are the properties of pen? Example, a pen, right? So what are its properties? Anyone? It has color, height, and width, and what else? Has cap or not? Okay, some pens have caps, some pens don't, and it has switch or not. Some pens have switches, right? So these are all properties. So color property, the value can be red or something, right? So if the color is red, then you can say its color is property and its value is red. So height is so and so, 2 centimeters, width is so and so, 3 centimeters. So like, okay, so likewise pen also has methods. Okay, what it can do. So what it can do, can or cannot do, right? So it can write, that's it, that's what its function is. So likewise in the virtual world in Java also, object has properties and methods. Okay, so methods we can create, or some methods automatically come, okay, with the software. So those are called built-in methods. The methods we create are called user defined methods, right? Methods of type built-in and user defined. Okay, so the methods we deal with are both built-in and user defined. So built-in methods, in order to use them, we have to import those classes or jars, and you have to add the jars to the this thing. So I'll show you later. Oh, it's closed suddenly. Eclipse close program. Why should I close? Okay. So you can add the extra third-party external jars to or not. Right click, build path and configure build path. So here we can add external jars. So libraries, that's what we call. And these are the built-in jars that we that come along with your Java. And whatever we use, like for example, so far we have used some string functions and all those are built-in functions, so that comes along with the Java system library. And whatever system library I can add externally, I would be adding here later. So I'd show that later, since it's not required right away. I won't show it right now. Okay, so coming back to OOPS concept. So OOPS concept means data abstraction, data encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So data abstraction is representing important description without including the important details. So you're basically abstracting them. So encapsulation means wrapping up important data, variable, fields, functions, methods into single class. So everything is encapsulated into classes, right? So that's what we have created, classes. For example, I created math class or math library, right? So these everything is including variables and methods are wrapped up inside the class called math. So that is called encapsulation. So basically you're putting all the medicine into the capsule. Just imagine like this. So that's encapsulation. All right. Third one is inheritance. Okay, don't worry if you don't understand right away, it's fine. If you do not understand, you will see this in terms of examples. Okay, so what is inheritance? Inheritance is just like in real world, you inherit the properties of your parents. So likewise, we create parent classes, and the child classes, whichever classes that extend these parent classes, can be called child classes. And these child classes inherit the features, in the sense, when it say features, I would be talking about fields and methods. Fields are nothing but variables. So there are many names to one concept. So fields, variables, all are synonymous. Methods, functions are all synonymous. So fields or methods of parent class, those will be inherited by child class. So there is a concept called overriding. So if I create a method in parent class, and if the same method is redefined in child class, and when I call them by instantiating the classes, it would give preference to the child class. So that is called overriding. So we will see that in terms of example. Polymorphism. So the name suggests poly means many, morph means changing the shape. Okay, so polymorphism means changing its shape. So literally that's what it means. So all we deal with methods. So how do we apply polymorphism to method? So if we create method, we give them the name, right? Add. So likewise, I created a separate function. I created on last class divide function. Correct. What it would do? It would divide two numbers and return a quotient. Right. So I can use the same name and just change the parameters, whether it's list of parameters, type of parameters, number of parameters. Okay, I can change anything, and this method is set to overload this method. Okay, or not override. Don't. So this is overloaded method. So that means that I have created a same function with two forms. So I can also create many forms. So that's what is called polymorphism. Method can appear in many forms by changing its signature. So what is signature? This is the method signature. What is method signature? This is the method's name, and its parameter argument list is double double, and its return type is double. That's the signature. And I changed it here. It's an integer and return type is integer. Okay. So what is an object? I just told you, instance of class. So when I create class, okay, I want to call this function. What I did, I created a instance of this class. What is that instance of the class? Math is my library class, right? So math test is my test case. So I want to call these functions in the math class. So what I have to do, I have to create an object of this class, right? So that's an instance. So M is my object. So using this object, I can access all those methods: add, difference, that is subtraction, product, multiplication, and divide. So object is nothing but an instance of class. Okay, so this, for example, I just showed values is a class, and I can create an instance like this. Values, value is equal to new is a keyword that will create a new instance each time, and this would be the constructor. So the constructor name matches the class name, so you just put the brackets. Okay, so the default constructor is exactly same as class name with brackets, no arguments. I mean, so instantiation is the process of creating the object. Because you're creating an instance, the process would be called instantiation. And class is nothing but collection of objects, right? So what this whole class is nothing but a collection of objects, right? So that's what you can define a class. Okay, I just now told you the constructor. This is how you instantiate a class, and this is a constructor value. So constructor is a method whose name equals to the class name. So we will see example of this. Now, types of default and parameterized. The default constructor is called automatically when the class is instantiated. So the values val is equal to new values is how I instantiate, right? So here same thing. So for example, this class does not have any constructor, so let's define a constructor. Okay, and what it would be its purpose is, whenever I instantiate this class in any test case, automatically this will be called. You don't have to call separately. So that's the main advantage of different constructors. So basically we use constructor for initializing some values in real time, in automation or in development or anywhere. So let's define a constructor. So default constructor. Why I'm saying default constructor? Because it doesn't have any arguments. Okay, so there are two types of constructors, default and parameterized. So the default constructor is called automatically when class is instantiated. Default constructor is nothing but do not have any arguments. Okay, it's called automatically. And so like I said, its signature is like this, no arguments. And what I want to do is I want to simply print something to the console so that you know that the constructor is automatically called, right? So let's run this. Okay, initially it takes some time, afterwards just like it's trying to access. Okay, so meanwhile I'll just continue this. And parameterized constructor is nothing but you pass some parameters. Param constructor is a constructor with arguments or with parameters, and this can be called explicitly. So implicitly it won't be called, or not automatically. You have to call it if you want to. So mostly if you want to pass different values from runtime, from the test case, and then you want those values to be assigned to the variables, then you would go for the parameterized constructor. All right. Now default constructor is initial values. If you do not pass anything, and for example, I have name, first name, and I want the John to be my default first name. So then I would insert that in the default constructor, and then I would also create that class name, then string first name. Then if I call this parameter constructor, I can pass it first name runtime. So I'll show you that, and then I can also create some getters and setters. Okay, so this is also important concepts. So getters and setters, basically what it means is, like the name suggests, getter is used to get something. So the get something will have to return something. So like anything, I can return some string, get something, and so this is just to get some value and pass it on. And likewise, setter has to set something, like first name. If I want to set my first name, so I would just go for set first name, then I would pass string first name. So then I will define it. Okay, so definition can be anything. So then this is, it's supposed to set the first name. So I set this dot first name equals first name. So this always refers to the current class object. So I would have already created the first name, declared the first name over here in the beginning of the class. Then whatever first name I pass, I want this to be assigned to the variable first name, my variable. Okay, so get something is literally to return. So let's take first name only instead of something. So it would simply return first name. Okay, so instantiation is to create an instance of class by using new keyword. That's I already told you. So let's put this here instead of repeating. So let's put it right after class, because class can be instantiated. And initialization, like I said, you have to assign some values to variables. So you just declare them, leave them is not good. So you can assign the values. So like for example, string first name. So instead of leaving it, I can just assign its value to default value, something like John. So that I can do in a constructor. And okay, getter setter is to assign the values. So that's just here. So okay, so the access modifiers I have already explained you, right? Public, private, protected, and default. Public is if I declare any class or variable or method as public, it will be visible to any class inside the project. Any class, if I have 10 classes, it will be visible to all 10 classes. If I declare a class or variable or method as private, then those class or method variables or methods are only accessible to those inside the class. Okay, so basically you can say variables and methods instead of classes. And protected is if I declare anything as protected, then those are visible in a super class that can be accessed only by subclasses in other packages within the project. So you cannot go beyond the project. Everything is within the project. And default is any class or variable or method or constructor that has no declared access modifier is accessible only by classes in the same package. Okay, so constructor and all these are already repeated to initialize the values to avoid getting null values at the same time. So I would move this to here. These are all redundancy because of multiple batches. So So constructor purpose is so and so, default constructor and parameterized constructors purpose. Okay, so class instantiation, initialization, getters and setters. I would move here. Okay, so let's just continue with this example, then we'll move on. Okay, so what I want to create is a default constructor, right? Constructor. So it's just showing the typo. That's okay. You can ignore typo, but that's fine. So I just want to print it to the console. This is a default constructor. Okay, so what would happen if I run this automatically? It should run. Change visibility. You have to change it to public. Okay. Now that's public. So if you don't mention anything, it would be private. So public and the constructor. So access modifier is public. Otherwise, it's not visible. Like I said, it's private. By default, it would, if you don't mention anything, it would be private. And when I declare this method as private, then it is trying to access it by in the time at the time of instantiation. When I'm trying to access it, the default constructor, it won't let me because it's private. Now it can. Now let's run this. Okay, so like I said, the first and foremost thing that can be accessed is a default constructor. So let's see. So this is a default constructor. So without calling, it was accessed. The math, if I go here, it would take me to the constructor, right? That's what it means. Okay, so on the other day, we have seen created reusable functions for addition that would take integer, and subtraction, same thing. So I am making them return some value. So it is returning, and product and divide. Okay, so this is where we stopped. Now, as part of polymorphism, I want to overload this divide. So what I'm trying to do is create a polymorphic function. So overloading. So that means that I'm taking the same function and just changing the number of parameters and or type of parameters. So type means I can change the data type. Number means I can just add one more integer or whatever string, doesn't matter. So this is said to be overloaded function of this. So I just want to be able to divide two floating points. So this would only take care of integers, right? So I also want to divide floating points. That would result in quotient, which is also floating point, which is more realistic in the sense. So double P, I just declared P, and P equals to M by N, right? M, when M is divided by N, I'm getting a quotient P. Okay, so let's name it realistically instead of P. Okay, now I have used P many times right here. So I just want to change its name. And I don't want to change all the occurrences of this variable P. I just want to refactor it. That means that I want to rename it right here, and those renames, the whatever I renamed here, I want them to be applied all those places wherever I use them or call it, right? So this is applicable for variables and methods also. So I can just refactor, and you have to select refactor and rename. So I can also move the function. So earlier I was clicking inside the function, so that was only showing move. Now I selected the variable and I want to rename. So it just shows like this. So all you have to do is just type QUOTIENTC, as in when I type, automatically the values wherever it's used, it's changed. All you have to do is just press enter, otherwise it won't be refactored. Okay, now it's just refactoring. Okay, so now the name is more realistic, that's all. And if this question, even if I want to refactor the name of the function, wherever this is called anywhere in the test, all those will be changed automatically, so that you don't get any error. So that is the advantage of refactor. So all the time just right click and select refactor and go to rename. Okay, or you can press Alt Shift R, that is a shortcut. So I would just mention the shortcut also here. So some shortcuts. For refactoring, what is the shortcut? Alt Shift V is for move. What is the shortcut for rename? What you can see, you can just read out. What do you see for shortcut rename? Anyone? So don't make me call the names. Just read out.
Alt Shift R.
Alt Shift R, right? So I'll also show you that. Shift R. Okay, small r. Don't press Shift again. So Shift R for refactor rename. Okay. So let's try this again. Okay. Now I want to. Okay. I just want to divide by same. So product, instead of product, I just want to change. Okay, let's go for the difference. So instead of difference, I want to call it subtraction, right? So all you have to do is Alt Shift R. Okay. Now I can remove this. Type my own name. Subtract. Okay, let's use over. Okay, add subtract. Okay, now I just press enter. Automatically, wherever this is called, all those places it will be changed. Now I will show you if it is changed or not. Okay, so I have called this function here math test. This is the library, this is the corresponding test case. So always pairs, that's what I'm using. I created a library function and I call them in the test case. Now let's see add. So earlier it was what? It was difference. Okay, it is automatically changed to subtract. If you remember that, you would recall that. All right, so there is no errors. So it's automatic. Refactor rename. So always do this to change names of functions or variables. Okay, so Alt Shift V for refactor move. For example, I want to move the function to different place. Move a function to different class. Okay, so this must be called somewhere. So if you move with just by cutting paste, it wouldn't work like that. So if I cut this and paste it, it would throw error, right? So it would throw error right here. I will show you because I just cut it and immediately there is a red mark. It shows it can't find, right? The method subtract undefined for the type name. So don't do that because it's too dangerous. It can be called any number of times, like 100 times, and you have to do this manually. So instead, all I have to do is use the shortcut or refactor move Alt Shift P. Now the method cannot be moved since it's not that's okay. Okay, so but that's the procedure. I'll show you a different example. Maybe this would work. Only class which is reachable within the method can be okay. Let's take so all I have to go is for a class that has methods. Okay, I don't have a proper example. Input genetic type arguments. Okay. Simple interest. I'll show you these examples later. Okay, move. Okay, so there's some sort of error. That's okay. So you can once you do this, it will ask you to move to different. It will ask you for name of the new location, new this thing package or somewhere. Okay, so you're getting deviated. Okay, so overloading. I can change the signature and just redefine it. So all I'm doing is I'm dividing and putting SS out. That result of dividing M and N is quotient, and I'm returning that quotient. So what is the difference between this and this? Can anyone tell? Both have same names but different definitions. So what is the difference in both of these functions? Divide and divide. Anyone jump in and tell me the answer. If you don't say the correct answer, that's fine. I'll explain. What is the difference between this function and this function? Anyone? Say the answer within like 5 seconds.
One is regular, one is double, I
If I
guess.
say the time, okay, somebody will jump. Okay, so go ahead.
One is regular and another one is double. That's different, I saw.
Regular? What is regular? This is regular.
Like you just call an integer, like
Okay.
divided integer.
Say like that. Say explicitly regular. There is no such thing as regular. So this is accepting integer type of arguments, and this is accepting double type of arguments, and it is returning integer, it is returning double. So that is the difference here to say. Okay, now we'll see the difference at the calling time and math test. Okay, all I'll do is just close others. So I created these so that I can explain immediately. Math test. So we will use this convention from now on. So if I create math library here, the corresponding functions in that class will be called in the corresponding test. So math test will immediately, you can identify both of these. Hey, this is a math library and this is a math test. So we would use the names accordingly. Okay, so product is fine. Divide is okay. So here divide integer. So how do you differentiate between the methods? Okay, so when I'm calling, both have same name. So how do I know that if I'm calling this or this? Okay, that's a question. You must have already got that question, right? The answer lies in the same question. So the answer is when you call this function and at the time of passing the parameters, it would automatically determine which function you want to call. If I pass integers, it would automatically call this one. If I pass double, it would automatically call this. Okay. So how would the Java differentiates? The Java would differentiate. How would you pass the parameters, right? Now all of this, if you see, I am trying to pass integers. So obviously when I control click, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, control click, the function will take you to the signature, I mean definition of the function. So I can jump directly to here. So that is a shortcut. Okay, control I didn't mention, right? So let me control and click. Okay, function will take to the definition automatically. Okay, so just hover over it and press control and click. Okay, now I will jump to the math library C. Okay, so exactly this will tell you which one it is calling. So I am calling the divide integer, not divide double. Okay, so that's how it differentiates. Now let's try and see m dot divide. Okay, so at the time of calling also you would see two suggestions. These are called suggestions. What are suggestions? When you type the name of the function partially, automatically you will see the results, just like Google. When you type keyword in the Google search, you would see the results, right, popping down. So those are called suggestions. So these will help you, a developer, to filter out. You can choose whatever you want to immediately. So now I want to choose double, right? So I just select double and it is asking me to enter the double. Okay, so let's enter 25.5. Okay, and I want to divide this by 5.5. Okay. Okay, so now which function it would call? When I call this, see, hovering over will tell you I am calling library.math.divide double, right? So double is its return type. So first and foremost you would see the return type double, and this is in library package math package divide is function name, and it is taking two arguments double. So this is the complete signature. This is what is called the signature of the function. All right, so this is called the signature of the function. So I'll just write down some tidbits. Signature of method means its whole thing, including return type, the package in which it is defined, and its name and its arguments list. Okay. Okay, so now let's try and see where it is calling. Correct. So which one it is trying to call? It is called in main. Okay, so you can see outline also. So I am trying to call this in the main function, right? So this is the main function I am trying to call. Now where it is defined, so I can just control click. Now it is taking me here, not here, right? That means I am calling the correct function. Okay, now let's go back. Okay, one more thing is I want to see wherever this is called. I have curiosity to see wherever this is called. Now you can see quick type call hierarchy. Open call hierarchy will tell you. Okay, so here this is where it is called, right? Main function. So I have just shown you in the main function it is called. If it is called multiple times, it will show all of this. So the shortcut for call hierarchy is Control Alt H. Control Alt H will show you the call hierarchy. Call. What is call hierarchy? Wherever the function is called, it will show all of those class names or method names. Okay, method names and class names. See, method, its return type is void, and it is in this test.math test. That is a complete location. All right. Okay, now let's try and run until this portion I want to. Okay, now I would, okay, this is for the later, but I just want to stop here. So if I want to stop the execution right here, So what I have to do is I just have to put a debug point. So debug point is the point or break point, you can call it. So the break point is a point. If you provide one in your test, it would execute from start to that breakpoint only, and it will halt here, so it won't continue, so that you can investigate something over here. So I just want to stop here so that we can investigate something here. Okay, now let me toggle. If I double click, it will go away. So let's put a breakpoint here. Okay, so this process is called debugging. So debugging is the process of investigating variables, methods, exceptions, or whatever. Okay, so in case any failures, in order to identify any bugs in your code, right? That's what is called debugging. Okay, so if I put breakpoint, that means the execution will occur till that point. Okay, and will let you move on step by step. Okay, so there are a couple of options: step into, step over. Step over means you can move on each function by function. I'll just write function. Step into will make you to move into the function. Okay, so basically if I define the function with 5 lines, it will let you go inside the function and move line by line within the function. So there are various ways. So according to your requirement, you can go step into or step. Okay, so anyway, this is the breakpoint. So let's try to debug. So all the time I was trying to run as Java application. Now I can right click and debug as. Okay, so instead of run as, I'm going for debug as, and Java application, same thing. So let's see if it runs and stops at this point. Okay. Firewall has blocked. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so whenever you are trying to debug, it will launch you the perspective, debug perspective. So this is the perspective. Right now I am in the Java perspective. Okay, so since I am debugging, okay, it ran till that breakpoint. Now after the breakpoint is reached, okay, so just before, it won't even go beyond the breakpoint. That means the wherever I inserted the breakpoint, it won't even execute that line. Until that line only execution will happen, and it will launch the debug perspective. Now if I say okay, it will change the perspective here. See, okay, so you see the debug perspective right here. Now I've created and switched to that. Okay, so before I was in Java perspective. What is perspective? What you see here, the collection of windows and arrangement of them. Okay, so suddenly it switched to debug. So I see here a couple of pods, right? So this is a debug pod. Here I can watch the variable values and breakpoints. This is my test. See, this is the test I defined, and I can watch the console right beneath it. Here this is the console, and this is the outline. In the math test, in the test package, I have a math test, and I created a main function. So as far as the debugging is concerned, I should watch here. This is the important thing. I can evaluate expressions or watch the variables values. So far you can see M and sum is 16. That's what it is executed, right? So now let's go to the divide, right? So I have a couple of options like I told you when I debug. So this is a debug point. That means I have executed till here. So addition is executed, default construct is executed, addition is executed, difference product is executed, and division is executed for integers, right? This is already executed. Now I want to try to execute the divide function with what? Doubles, 25.5 and 5 and floating point numbers. Okay. Now that is not yet executed. It is ready to be executed. So you can see the arrow mark here. Okay. Now I want to go inside this function. So there are a couple of options here. Step into. This indicates step into. Shortcut is F5. And if I want to step over, F6. Step over will let you just execute this one time and just move over. Step into will let you want to investigate inside it. Then I want to go inside this function and see what's happening. So then step into is appropriate. Okay. So F5 is the shortcuts vary from tool to tool. So if you use IntelliJ, the shortcuts vary like F7 and F8. So Eclipse step into is F5, step over is F6. F5, F6. Debug, step into F6. F6 in the sense just function F6 on your keyboard. Okay. Debug, step over. Okay, so there are other also step return. Okay, that would let you back. Okay, so it's not very widely used, but I will just mention if you want to re-execute the previous line basically. So debug, step return. Okay, so these are the three debug related shortcuts. Now I want to go inside, so I want to step into. So as in when you say step into, see, I jumped inside its function. So this is my definition of the function. Okay. Now double quotient is declared, and quotient is defined as m by n. Okay, m value and n value. So what did I pass m value? You can watch the variables here, 25.5, and n value is 5.5. In the test I already passed, if you remember, right? I just now passed. So now if I hit, now you are already inside the function, you don't want to again step into, you have to step over, otherwise it will go in. There is no going inside this amendment, right? Now I'll step over. Now you can see after I step over, you will see one more variable quotient here and its value. Okay, right here, I mean whatever is 25 by 0.5 divided by 5.5, the value will be displayed here, name of the variable and value. All right, so now I'll step over. Okay, so quotient is, that means quotient is calculated, quotient, and its value is this one. Okay, what is its value? 4.6 something. So earlier the main purpose of this double divide is to get the accurate value to the accuracy, I mean whatever the decimal portion is there. And if I do not mention the double integer values, only will ignore this 0.5, the decimal will, fractional part will be ignored, only the integral part, the left hand side of the number will be taken into consideration. Okay, so that will not give you accurate value, so this will give you accurate value. Okay, now sys out will be printed, it is ready to be executed. Always whatever line is highlighted in green, it is not yet executed, it is ready to be executed. So if I hit step over, you will see one more line. Okay, the console line. So I'll step over. You see the result of dividing 25.5 and blah 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 is so and so. So exactly same value is displayed here. Okay, now this will be written. Okay, so that is because I have written type double. Okay, now I'll step over again, it will go back to the math test. Okay, so this is a library function. Why I went to the library function? Because I stepped into. Now once this is over, it will go back to the math test once I hit step over. Okay, so now it went back to the math test. So this is where I was executing, and the execution will be over if I hit step over again, right? So the values have the variables are vanished once you are done with the function. You don't see those anymore. Okay, right here. So those are not there. Now I'll step over, it moves to the different function. Okay, so this is called debugging. Okay, so now I will be jumping out of debug, so I can stop here, or if I want to continue I can resume. So resume will let you just go on until the end of the class, right? Now we will go one by one. So I'll stop, I can stop the or terminate or control F2 the debug. So once I do this, it will switch back to the Java perspective again. So debug perspective will be switched back. Okay, so if I continue it will be switched, but since I'm already in debug I can switch it manually, because that's when you code. You don't code in the debug perspective, you have to code in the Java perspective. So this is what Java perspective is. Okay, so that's the whole process of debugging, and I wanted to show you the overriding concept. So this is basically the overloading. Do not get confused between overloading and overriding. Overloading method. Okay, so this will be the standard interview question. What is overloading? What is overloading? Means you have to tell like this. Overloading is nothing but if I create a function with some name and with some arguments and return type, and if I do not want to change the name of the function but just want to change its signature. What is signature? I want to change its return type as well as number of parameters that I pass as well as the type of the parameters. Then the next function that you change its signature will be called the overloaded method of the previous method. So the whole process is called overloading. Which part of OOPS concept this overloading belongs to? It belongs to polymorphism. Okay, so a method can appear in many forms by changing its signature. That's exactly I told you just now and explained it. That process is called overloading. Okay, so what is overloading? Again I'll explain you. This keeps on coming. Okay, so you have to remember and apply immediately. So overloading is, can anyone tell me? Redefining the same function with different signature. What is signature? Again, return type, arguments. Okay, arguments in the sense it could be number of arguments, changing. Okay, different signature. I can change return type, and I can change the number of arguments. That means I can add more arguments or decrease arguments, whatever it is, and data type of arguments also. Okay, so that's exactly what we did right here. So I changed the signature of this divide. Okay, so original divide has integer return type and integer as the arguments. Now the overloaded function, always remember, has the same name. Obviously it has to have same name. If I change its divide to division, it wouldn't be called overloaded function. That is the whole point. So the overloading concept keeps the name of the function same, and I change it here from integer to double and arguments list to double. So I can also add more, doesn't matter. I can also integer mn p. Okay, so I can change the number also. That's what is the definition. So I can also change the number of arguments. You may or you may not, but that is there. Okay, so that is optional. I mean, you have option to do that too. And I change the data type. Okay, Right, so we will continue with a new new method for the same math. Okay, so I want to create multiplication table. Okay, so you all know multiplication table, what it is. So if I want to display multiplication table of 2, it would look like 2 multiplied by 1 is 2, 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, blah blah blah, until 2 multiplied by 10 is 20, right? So if somebody asks you to write multiplication table of 7, you would write from 7 ones are 7, 7 twos are 14 till 7 tens are 70, right? And you can also go on till 7 20s are, okay? And I want to be able to display multiplication table of any number that I choose to. Okay, so I just want to create a function for it. Okay, so instead of defining this reusable function, I mean without reusable function, the multiplication table in the class in the test, if I want to display the multiplication table of 7, I have to again define. If I want to display the multiplication table of 20, I have to define here. Okay, so that would be cumbersome. Instead, using the reusability concept, we will define just once and use them or call them many times like this. So that is the whole concept. In we are moving towards the automation, which is a basic concept. Okay, the reusability is a basic concept, so I'm just making you aware of the same. So before this, I would explain about the arrays. Okay, so because without arrays we cannot go for loops and arrays, so we will just move slowly one by one. Okay, so far we have seen some data types: integer, string, double, long, short, and all those. You can practice more. Okay, so I'll just give you homework at the end of the session so that you can practice. Okay, so integer is just one integer. Now I want to take the collection of integers. Okay, then I would declare that variable as an array. Okay, instead of just single integer b equals 7, this is a single integer, right? Now it only holds one integer and its value is 7. It could be any value, but it only holds one at a time. Now I want to be able to hold as many integers as I want, right? Then I would have to declare as an array. So all you got to do is just put this square bracket after the variable. Okay, so that would make it string. Sorry, that would make it integer array. Whatever the type is, whatever, if it is string, it would make it string array. If it is double, it will make it a double array. Okay, now I can put this symbol here or here, doesn't matter. Integer array a is equal to, okay, so that is, both are similar, right? Now integer a, this means that a is a what does it mean? A is a, hey, what is b? What is b here? Are you following or not? Are you sleeping or not? I just want to check. What is b? Shukla. Okay, who are not sleeping? Let's see. Okay, somebody is not sleeping. I just heard. Okay, so what is b?
That's an integer.
Correct. Okay. Okay. Now, likewise, what is a?
That's the same integer.
No,
But
wrong answer.
integer with array.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I told you. Okay. Integer with array or integer array. Simply, you can say integer array. Okay. What is an integer array? It's a collection of integers. So I can hold multiple integers like 5, 10, 2, 1, 5. All these values will be held in the this a variable. Okay, so that is the advantage of array. Okay, so let's just write what an array is. Okay, don't worry about getters and setters, I will come back. So back and forth, so I am just going according to your pace. So if I move slowly, you would be able to understand. Okay, so array is a collection of similar data type values. Okay, so integer, if for example, if I take integer array, this will hold, it will hold what? Some n number of integers, right? Similarly, if I take string array, it will hold n number of integers. So n is, I can choose, determine dynamically. So I can, in this case, the size of this array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I can also give value. So don't worry about this, we'll go slowly. Okay, so that's that. And next concept is loop. Okay, loop is nothing but, if you want to repeat certain piece of code, okay, use loop. Okay, there are loops like types of loops are for loop, while loop, do while loop. Okay, so just for the time being, I would go for the for loop. Okay, we will see while loop, do while loop later. Mostly we will use for loop. Okay, so while loop is same as this, and the do while loop basically don't check the condition in the beginning. So if you just skip the condition in the beginning, just do the conditional check from the second iteration onward, then you go for the do while. Okay, so for loop just repeats certain part of code so many number of times. You can also determine how many number of times. Okay, so the signature of for loop will be like this. You can see for, if I press control space, it would automatically show the signature. Integer I equals to 0. Okay, so this is the initial value, and condition until I want to repeat this, I less than or equal to so and so, a dot length, and increment I plus plus. So every iteration, so first it will take the I0 and check the condition and do the thing whatever is defined here. Okay, and then come back with I plus plus, that means I plus 1, and check the condition. If condition is satisfied, again execute these lines until the condition is not satisfied. So okay, at certain point of time the condition is not satisfied, it won't execute the lines, it will come out of the for loop. So that is the whole concept. So for example, if I take integer I equals to 1, let's say I less than 7, I plus plus. Okay, I just wanna take separate class for loop, so I'm just, yeah, loops. Okay, let's take a look at this instead of creating right here. Okay, so here initial value is I is equal to 1, and I want to go till I less than or equal to 0, and I plus this is the condition. Okay, I just wanna display value, I value with a comma separated. Okay, now I'm just accepting an argument, runtime argument here, but don't worry, I'll just comment this out. Instead of, if I accept the argument from here, I have to right click and run as configuration, so it's not required right now. So we would avoid the run with configurations and automation, because that will still be manual, you have to be sitting on the system, so it has to be automated, so we would avoid that. Okay, so I'll just set j value to be 10. Okay, now this would run till I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. All right, Now I just want to print I value. Okay, number of numbers from 1 to j, so 10. So all the values will be printed. Now let's execute and see how it executes. Then we will come back and explain. Okay, so if you look at the output, you would know what it is doing. What is its purpose? So I want to display numbers from 1 through that number. Okay, 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I can also display in a same line or line after line. That's up to me, because I mentioned a comma here, it will be displayed. So if I want to mention display all of them in a separate line, sysout I. Okay, so this would automatically take println next line. So here I did not mention println, so it's just print. Okay, so same line with a comma separation here. Okay, so I just will align this. Okay, so numbers from 1 through j or so and so I want to display, right? So 10 instead of 10, let's take 20 and re-execute. Oh, sorry, not that. I executed different. Okay, same thing. So numbers from 1 through 20 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 20. So what it is doing right here, I am trying to use a loop. Okay, so for loop, that is the whole point. So if I do not use loop, I have to repeat this line 20 times, which is very cumbersome. So instead, this will be done in just 3 or 4 lines, and you can still get the whole output as you desire, right? Okay, now that's for loop. And while loop also you can do the same thing. So I would just use while loop for the same purpose. Here you would understand. So whenever you want to see what is the start and what is the end of the function, just double click here, it would show, so that I can easily know that, okay, this function's scope is still here only. Okay, I mean a function is defined till that point only. Okay, so now if I want to use while loop, okay, so while loops syntax will look like this. Okay, so while iteration with enumerator or iterator, while loop with condition. Okay, so we will just use a condition. So till I is less than or equal to, let's say 100. Okay, so this time now I will take I is equal to 1 is inside the for loop, but for while loop I have to initialize outside. So integer I equals to, I'll start with 0. All right, I is initial value is 0, and I want to continue some piece of code here till I reaches 100, less than or equal to 100. Okay, so I will print something that would be the easiest to learn any concept, new concept, right? Now I'll just sys out control space, we'll expand that. Okay, what do you want to repeat 100 times? Tell me, I will repeat it. What do you want to repeat it? Okay, what do you want to repeat it? Let's repeat multiples of 2. All right, so I will, so the whole line multiples of 2, I don't want it to be repeated, so I'll keep it outside. Right, now I will just sys out 2 multiplied by I, that would be multiples of 2. Right, now let's run. So for the time being, I'll just comment this because I want to show you the while loop. This is a for loop. Okay, so let's write here for loop. If I put a comment inside a comment, it will mess up. Okay, so now let's run loops. So objective, okay, now see, it is printing something. Okay, what it is printing?
0.
0. Why it is printing 0? So it gone to the infinite loop. Okay, so I do not have condition. Okay, because I initialized with 0, right? So let's initialize with 2. I want multiples of 2, starting from 2, okay, till 100. Okay, high value reaches 100. I would stop it. So let's try. The whole point is to make you understand why. Okay, it is just displaying 444. Okay, so the logic is missing. What is the logic that needs to be added? Increment. So for loop automatically takes care of the increment portion. In the while loop, we have to increment manually. So how do I increment? I plus plus. Okay. So this means I is equal to I plus 1. Okay, both are same. I is equal to I plus 1 or I plus plus. Okay, both are same. So here I used I plus plus. That means increase I value by 1. So here I am doing the same thing. I plus 1 will be assigned to I value. So its value will be increment. So this is the increment. This is the initialization. Okay, now let's rerun and see if we get the desired output. Okay, so we got the desired output. Yes. So I'm displaying multiples of 2 starting from 4. Okay, I can also start from 2. If I put 1 here, we will display that later. 4, 6, 8, 10 until 200. Okay, 200 because I value is increasing. So when I multiplied by 100 by 2, the last value will be 200. So if I want to restrict the whole number of numbers, I mean numbers only till 100, then you have to change some logic. Okay, so let's change that logic. How do you change the logic? I only want to display till what? 100 only. So what would you do? 2 into I is less than 100, less than or equal to 100. So we will start from 2 and then move on till 100. Okay. Okay, so 100 it stopped, but only numbers that I am displaying are multiples of 2, not 1, 2, 3, 4. It is just 2, 4, 6, 7, whatever the multiples of 2. But I cut till 100. So while this condition is satisfied, I am doing something inside. Okay, so that is using the while loop. Okay, so do while loop is similar. Like I said, it will just keep the condition in the beginning. So this condition will be checked from the beginning, right? In the while loop. In the do while loop, I can skip the first check, but second time onwards it will be checked. So do while. So it will look like this. So instead of while condition in the beginning, it will be later. So whatever is the portion here, definition, it will be right away executed without checking condition, but second time onwards I can check this. Okay, so do while I want to do something like 3 into I is less than 50, let's say. Okay, so if in realistic manner, if you do not want to check the condition in the beginning, you can do so. Like for example, for the first person, okay, I don't want to check the his ID. Okay, first person is always like first come first serve. Okay, you got into the queue. Okay, you're good to go. And second person onward, I want to check. So it's just like giving bonus. Think of it as, okay. In realistic examples, you would understand. So I would do the same thing here. Initialization, right? And okay, so since we are already initialized here, we can use them, but okay, let's use different. Let's use j equals to 3. All right, 3 into j is less than or equal to 50. I want to do something, so I just want to print. I want to print 3 into j till 50, not till 50, but before 50, less than 50 strictly. Okay, so let's try and run this. So we got something. J is already used, right? So let's use j1. Okay, so it won't let you use a duplicate variable, so j is already used somewhere. Yeah, j is 20, right? Okay, let's try and run this while loop. I'll comment it here. While loop, I'll comment here. Okay, so this is do while loop. Okay, now let's run. Okay, so now still logic is gone wrong. So what it is, can anyone find out?
Increment. We didn't
Increment,
even
right? So where do we put the increment?
after a while.
After a while. What is the increment? J is equal to j plus 1 or just j plus plus. Okay, still the placement is wrong. This is not where it belongs to. Where should be the increment? Inside the do while loop, isn't it? So like here. Okay, so this is how it works. J1 is 3. Okay, so let's use
This is
instead
zero.
of J1 we will use K. Okay, so I want just refactor this, right? J to K, because J1 is not very user friendly name. So K is equal to 3. So initial value of K is 3. Okay, now without check I'll get 3 into 3, 9. Okay, right, starting from 9, let's say, and then 3 plus 1, 4. Okay, so it will be increased, and it will check here. 4 into 3 is
Less than 50.
12. 12 is less than 50. True or false? True. It is satisfied. 12 is less than 50. Yes, true. So it will let you go inside the gain. So it will multiply the K value, whatever it is, and display here. Again, it will be incremented 5. So again, 3 into 5. 15 is less than 50. Yes, again, go until it is not satisfied. Is something is beyond 50, like 54 or something. So then it will let you go out. So let's re-execute again.
Not gonna be work because we have to change the increment on J plus plus. We have to put K plus.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's okay. So wrong variable is incremented. So that's why it is repeating 9 again. So K is a value, right? Now it will use the output correctly. Okay. So 48, 45 plus 3, 48, 48 plus 3 is 51. 51 is beyond, 51 is less than 50 is false. The condition is not satisfied. So it will come out of the loop. So only we'll see those numbers. So you can always change this signature definitional function according to your needs output. Okay. So you have to practice some homework examples that I will give you. So that will make you expert in logic too. So all we are trying to use is the syntaxes. Logic is a altogether different ball game. Okay, now I'll uncomment these so that you can take a look at them later. Okay, so don't worry, I'll share these programs with you, and I don't know whether you have installed the Eclipse software or not. Then otherwise you cannot practice this program. So all you have to do is just install this, download and install Eclipse, then you will be able to. So there are two ways I am going to share these programs with you, and one by one. One is through emails, and I'll be putting this files in Google Drive also, so I can also share. I'll send out an email regarding that. And one more is in the previous batch I have shared this in GitHub. Okay, so if anybody has knowledge about GitHub, they can also fork it and check out in your own project. Okay, otherwise
So
I'll
how do we can import on Eclipse?
how do we what?
Import on Eclipse, like if you, so how you
Oh,
gonna share, like on the
right.
notepad or like?
So I'm going to export the same project and show you. So when I export this, okay, so export, I can export as archive file or file system. File system is like folder files, archive is zip file. So if I export it like this, it will put the whole project in terms of a Java, a zip file. Okay, so let's put that in somewhere here. exports. Okay, so now it will put the extension as zip for our tgz for Linux or PAR file for other environment, but we will use Java project. Okay, this will be exported, and when you import, okay, all you have to do is, once you install and everything is done, okay, let me know in the next class. I'll help you in with import and everything. All you have to do is import general and archive file. Because I exported and shared it as zip file, you have to import the zip file only, right? Now you select that and voila. So this will be downloaded. I mean, I'll be sharing this file in Google Drive or somewhere in the email. So you'll place it in your downloads folder, right? So you'll select from here. So open, then you will see all this folder structure: Java tutorial, bin, source, library, and all this you will see here, right? So then you would want to place this in your own folder somewhere in your C drive or somewhere. Then you click next and finish. That's it. You will see this. Okay. Since I already have this project, I cannot redo it here. So you try that and let me know. Okay. So moving, and I will also show you how to share these projects via GitHub. So there are some steps I'll show you. So realistically, in real-time project, we will use the GitHub or Subversion. So that would be easy. You cannot share these Java projects with a zip file and email. So that's very cumbersome in realistic manner. But just for the beginning purpose, since you're beginners, I will share both ways using Google Drive, email, and GitHub. Okay, so loops, we just saw the loops, right? So what are the different loops we saw? For loop, while loop, do while loop, right? So for loop signature is like this. So these are just like running nodes. Okay, the reason I'm placing in the notepad is so that you can refer to this later, so without going to the Eclipse. Okay, while loop is just a while condition. You have to define further and not putting the define. So do while loop is like this. So all you have to do is just put initial value and incremental value. Okay, so the loops is over. So I would go to the original array. Okay, so the reason for I came to the loops is because loops you need to understand before doing this math table function. Okay, I have created an array, right? Array will hold the number of numbers, certain number of numbers, integer or string. Now I want to repeat this by just want to display the sum of the numbers in the array. Okay, so for loop you already know. So initial value counter is equal to 0. Okay, counter is less than a dot length. What is a? A is a loop. A is a sorry, not a loop. A is an array. Okay, and array has a length, certain length. What is the length of an array? The number of values it holds is called the length of an array. Okay, right now it is holding 5 values, so it will repeat till 5. So the a dot length will give you 5. Okay, so the dynamically it will take the length. So that's the reason I didn't put 5 here. So whatever is the length, it would repeat until this point. Counter is just like I. Okay, it's just like realistically I put counter. So initial value is 0. It will repeat until the length of this. The reason I took 0 is the array's index start from 0. Okay, so the a dot 0 here. So this is what would happen inside. A0, that is the first value, which is equals to 5. All right, and A1 equals to 10. Okay, first value's index is 0. Okay, always remember that. Second value's index is 1. A2 equals to 2. A3 equals to 1 and A4 equals to 5. Okay, so this is the breakdown, okay, in step by step. And length of A is, what is the length of A? What is the length of A? Length of A is the number of values inside it. So what is the length of this guy?
5.
5. Okay. Okay, this is just like analysis I am doing. Okay, so I'll just comment it out just for your understanding only. Okay, so that now, okay, so I would remove this. We already seen the examples in the other class. Okay, so I just want to display the sum of each. Okay, so initially I initialize sum to 0. Okay, now I want to display the sum of the values inside an array. Okay, 5 plus 10 plus 2 plus 1 plus 5. Okay, so initially I took counter. Okay, sum is 0, sum equals, I'm just incrementing the sum plus a of counter, and counter is starting from 0. So initially it will take a0, which is 5. Okay, add it to 0. 5 plus 0 is 5. So that will be the initial value of sum. We will debug and see how it works. And then sum's value currently is 5. Now it will come here, counter will be increased by 1, right? Now 1 is less than 5. True or false? True. So it will come here, a counter value will be 1 right now. So a1 is 10. Okay, sum is 5. 5 plus 10 is 15. So it just added 5 plus 10. So this will be continued until the end, and final value will be displayed here. Okay, so this is how you declare a value or declare a variable array of any type and assign its value like this, and access the array's values in a program like this. So mostly the better example for this array is to show within a for loop, because you wanna repeat some action inside for loop, and the best way is I can take an array. Okay, let's try and run this and then debug how it works inside. So first output, then the process of getting output. Okay, so total is 23. That's not a rocket science, so anybody can sum it up. Okay, now let's try this in a different manner. I'm just putting this debug point here, or breakpoint. Now we will debug it so that I can show you how the values are changing inside an array, inside the loop. Okay, now initial value of sum is 0, right? I have to initialize the sum to 0. Okay, now we will go step by step. So all I have to do is step over, not step into, because I'm not inside a function. I am inside a defined one. Okay, so this is I'm doing inside the main function directly. It's not reusable. So I am just stepping over. Okay, so sum is 5. How did it become 5? Because it took the first value. 5 plus 0 is 5, right? Now I step over again. Now it came here. It will add 5 to 10. So next value will be what? 15. Okay, its value is changed to 15. And step over again. And 15 plus 2, 17. 17 plus 1, 18. 18 plus 5 is 20. Okay, so that's the end of it. You can continue from here. And final value is 23. Okay, so once you finish, all the variables will vanish automatically. So now you can switch to Java perspective. Okay, so this is how you deal with arrays. The whole point of I created array is that. Okay, this is a slightly different example. Okay, so I just want to print Madhusiri Sangamya, let's say, or we can take different names. Okay, so this I am dealing with string arrays. Okay, So let's go one by one. String names. So I want to take first name and last name and multiple first names, last names. All right. So I created a string array, okay, of dimension 2. Okay, so the array dimension can be increased by number of square brackets. So this is two-dimensional, just like a matrix, two-dimensional matrix. Okay, now I want to assign some values, initialize some values. So first value will be this first name comma last name, then second value will be another first name comma last name. Now I want to print names one by one. That's my intention. Okay, so I have to be able to do it in a two for loops. Okay, two dimensions will lead to two for loops. Okay, three dimensions will lead to three for loops. So the more dimensions, the more for loops. So if it is only one dimensional loop, which is like this, you just need to do it in a single one. So that's it. Okay, okay, instead of another class, I will take it in the same class, so that everything remains in the same, right? I'll just cut and paste here. So this is the example for string array of two dimension. Okay, so okay, so I'll just delete this guy. Okay, so if you see there is an error, right? So always be careful about closing and opening brackets so that you can avoid. So when I say this string names, okay, that is fine. Probably it's not closed. Okay, it's not that close. Okay, so what is the error here? Can anybody find out? You have to put it in a main, right? So if it is outside main, it would obviously throw error. So I will just keep it inside the main. Okay, so the main is ending here, because if you do put outside the main, you have to put it in a function, otherwise it would throw error. So the error is gone. Okay, so the first one is string integer array. That's an example for integer array. Array of one dimension. Okay, no complexity is here. So this is very simple. Now I am just increasing the complexity by 2. Okay, so I'm making it as two-dimensional array, and the variable data type is string, so that I can display first name and last name in differently. So first name belongs to one I mean vertical, and second name belongs to horizontal, something like this. Okay, so and same thing, just like first name last name, then first name last name, first name last name, next line. Okay, so first loop is first row will be taken care by the first for loop, and the columns will be taken by the second for loop. Okay, I am going until the names length. Names has length. Every array has a length, just like we have seen here. So this particular guy has two length. Okay, so it will repeat until the last point. That is the whole objective. So I am starting from 0, going until the length of the names, and taking the separate index here in a counter j for the column, 0 from length, and I'm just displaying names I comma j. Okay, so first value will be 0 comma 0. Okay, so if I break down 0 comma 0, 0, 0 it is the first row, 0 comma 1, and 1 comma 0, 1 comma 1. So this is how it will access. I'll just break it down here. So initially I broke it down like this, right? A0 has 5 and A1 is 10. So likewise we will break it down for this two-dimensional array. Okay, so names 0 is a first, right? 0 comma 0, correct? So this will hold value Madhu. Okay. Okay, so it's not name, it's names. So you have to close this in a, enclose this in a bracket, it's not comma. Okay, so now it is perfect, no error. So you can literally, this is a one variable. So I'm not, don't think that I'm just putting a comment. Okay, so this is one variable, name 00 is a one variable which holds this value. Okay, according to this initialization. So I'll just repeat this 4 times and change the values of row and column. Okay, now zeroth row, zeroth column has Madhu, zeroth row. Okay, first column is having this last name, and first row, all right, zeroth column has goes this name, and first row first column. When I say first row first column, it is second row second column because the index start from 0. So just remember that. Okay, so now this is the breakdown inside. So exactly when we debug, it will look like this. Okay, so now all I'm trying to do is just print out first name last name, then space first name last name. So let's see the output, how it comes. Okay, so first name last name and first name last name. So that is the first integer array. This is for string array. So I want to display names like this, then I would be using this. So in this matrix, this is a two-dimensional matrix, right? If anybody is aware of matrix chapter in math, they would know. So this is a first row first column. Okay, first row second column, second row first column, this is second row second column. So all I'm doing is starting from 0. So this would be 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. Okay, so this would be just for a understanding, so I'm putting inside. Okay, so that's how you deal with the arrays. Okay, so before going to mathematics table, okay, which also deals with similar kind of situation, I would just go and explain little more complex array. Okay, so I'm defining name array of string. Okay, you don't have to initialize like this. I can just leave it like B. Okay, like this. So that means that I'm just declaring a name array. Okay, string array. Okay, of one dimension. It doesn't have any values. Okay, I can initialize values later. So all it is initialization like this. So that means that I am setting this size of this to 3. Okay, I'm just making it hold 3 values, A, B, C, D, F, Z, X, Y, Z, whatever. Okay, so the length of the array, how do you make use of some array related methods? Okay, now length of the array, so this would give rise to what would be the output of this system out dot println? Anybody quickly? The length of the array is what it would display here, name dot length. Quick, just make a guess and say it out loud. Naeem, what is the length of this array? I just explained 2 times, right? Naeem.
Yeah, it will be 9.
9 wrong. Wrong
12.
answer. Huh?
12.
What? Wrong answer. Why? Who? What made you think like that? Okay. Faisal, what is the length? I just explained you, right? How many values this array contains?
Sorry, is it 4?
3 values. This is a string.
Yeah, it's a 3.
You are actually counting A, B, C as 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6. That is wrong, right? This is a
So you're
string.
gonna be count only the like the quotation inside the quotation one, right?
That's what I am saying. This is an array and I am putting the values, initializing the values of array like this, and you have to put them in the flower bracket, and the first value is ABC, second value is DEF, third value is XYZ. So there are only 3 values, length is 3. Okay, so similar to this guy here, what is the length of array A? How many values it has?
5.
5 values. So it's simple. And length of this array is how many values it has?
5.
2. This
That's
is 2
2
values.
dollars.
This
Yeah, that's
whole
2
value is 1. This is a 2-dimensional array. Okay. So this whole value is 1. This whole value is 1. So it is 2-dimensional array. So that's why its length is 2, but it is little complex. It comes in the matrix shape 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1 like this. That's what I explained like here. Okay, now I am just it's not complex. It is we are dealing with 1-dimensional string array here. So it has 3 values, so 3. And the value in second array is, okay, tell me. So this is just like a quiz. Yeah, anybody? What is the value in second array? Second index. Name one. What is its value? What would be the output of this? Naeem.
I think it's gonna be DFE, DEF.
Correct. Yeah, DF. This is name 0, name 1, name 2. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, now I can, like, just like I declared string array of 2-dimensional, I can also declare integer array of 2-dimensional, isn't it? So I can declare like this: int x bracket bracket equal new int. Okay, so I'm just creating an instance of int of 2-dimensional array 2 3 size. So 2 rows 3 columns. Okay, this is the number of rows, this is the number of columns. So I can also put first x00 equals 2. I'm just assigning a value. Okay, so I am just showing you how would you declare a variable of different arrays of different types and how do you assign the values to them. So that's what it is. Okay, so I can declare an array, single dimensional integer, and I can assign values like this. Okay, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and 2-dimensional integer array. Okay, I can declare like this: 1 2 3 4 5 6. So it would be displayed like this, and I can access, if I want to access the 2-dimensional array, I have to put 2 for loops like this, and the logic inside will be according to your objective, whatever is your objective is. Okay, so let's just execute quickly and see what would be the output. Where is run as? Okay, I'll move this array related to single Java class array test. Okay, so that, okay, so the length of the array is 3, right? And this value in the second array is DEF. Okay, that's it. Now I want to display 1 2 3 4 in the array fashion. Okay, how would I do that? Using 2 for loops. First for loop is for the row, second for loop is for the column. Okay, so that's exactly what it means. It has 2 rows 3 columns like this, right? So likewise it has 2 rows 2 columns, 2 rows 1 2 2 columns 1 2, right? So exactly I can display like this using this. Okay, it's mostly used for display purpose. So matrix multiplication table is also like this, so we would use them, and finally it would exit the loop. Okay, so just for array thing I would keep it, cut it and paste in array here. So this is just to keep everything related to arrays in a single class. Okay, so just be careful about reusing the same variables. Okay, sometimes what is the error? Let's see.
I think it should be inside the curly bracket, the top one. Line number 61. It should be pasted on line number 61.
Okay, so it was outside main. Okay, so everything related. So till this it was regular, and this is like more examples of arrays. Control A, Control I. With this will indent. Okay, so it will align everything inside. So that's just one shortcut. Control I, indentation. So if everything is like this, all you have to do is Control A, Control I. So it will keep everything in alignment. Okay, so let's delete this guy because I don't want to create multiple classes for the same concept. So delete, and I just want to call this array test. Okay, so inside the test package, let's put test as a prefix suffix at the end, so that everybody knows that hey, this is the test, not a library. So it's just an indication. It's always nomenclature is very important in the Java. So refactor rename. So instead this, if I say array test, you would know that okay, I am executing inside the main function directly. There are no functions, library functions defined here. If I do not say anything, library dot something will tell you it's a collection of methods, and we will be calling these inside this test. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, so let me move to that math test again. Okay, now my intention is to show you the mathematics table. Okay, so let's just access the mathematics table. So the mathematics table I defined already in here, math multiplication table. Okay, so the output I already know. I want to display like multiplication table of 5. Let's say 5 ones are 5, 5 twos are 10, 5 threes are 15, blah blah blah, 5 tens are 50. Okay, likewise in the similar fashion like this, line by line. So I would need at least one loop. Okay, for loop. Okay, I am starting I is equal to 1, my initial value, and I want to go till 10. I can also go till 20 and increment by 1. Now I want to be able to run display any numbers multiplication table. Okay, now I would create what, a reusable function for that one. So multi-table. Okay, it's void because I don't want to return anything, I just want to display. So void is my return type. I want to accept a number and display its multiplication table. That is my objective. Now I have to just loop it in single for loop, and this is my output. Okay, let's say 2. So 2 multiplied, that means star, with 1, first 1, 2 ones equals, okay, 2 into 1. Okay, so you exactly have to write as you see. So this is as what you see is what you get in the console. Okay, I'll just clear this console. Okay, so now this will be repeated. First I is equal to 1, right? Now n is equal to, let's say 5. 5 multiplied by 1 equals to 5. Okay, now comes back to here. Now what happens? I plus 1, I plus plus is plus 1. 1 is less than or equal to 10, satisfied, right? It's true. So it comes here. Now n value is 5 only. Now 5 into I value is 2. 5 twos are 10. Now system.out.println, that means it will take new line. Come back here. I will be increased by 1. So now its value is 3. Now come here. 5 multiplied by 3 is 15. Okay. Now it will be displayed. Take the next line. Come back here. I value increased to 4 now. 4. Check the condition again. Every time the condition is checked. 4 is less than or equal to 10. True or false? True. Okay. Enter the for loop. If it is false, exit the for loop. Okay, simple as that. Now it will be repeated until 10. Now let's say I is equal to 10. Come here. 5 multiplication 10 is 50. Come back here. Now I value will be 10 plus 1, 11. Now what happens? 11 is less than or equal to 10. Is it true or false? Faisal, is 11 less than or equal to 10? True or false?
False.
False. So it would exit out of the loop. That means it will not go inside. It will come out here and jump out. Okay, that's how it executes. Okay, let's try and see. I define this multiplication table here. I want to call this in the math test. math is a library function, math test is where I'm going to call all these functions. So you can relate to that. So I can also rename this as math library, but I don't want to do that because it's already in the library.math. Correct. So let's go to math test and call this. Okay, now here I want to call. How would I call? I already created an instance for math m. So m dot. Oh, sorry. I just want to put this comment so that you can read it out later. So this is for multiplication table. Okay. Now calling, function calling m dot. Just type two, three letters. It will show. Okay, multi-table. That's a multiplication table. Short. And what do you want to display the multiplication table for? Tell me any number you would execute. Tell me any number.
5.
5?
Yeah, 5.
5. Okay. Now everything is important. I mean, what you want to do is also important. Okay, so you should not be hesitating about that. Okay, so let's execute multiplication table of 5. Okay, I just want to show only that multiplication table, so I will comment out everything else except for this instantiation. If I comment this, it won't be accessing the multiplication table function, right? Okay, so that is beginning, this is end, and these examples we'll see more later, so I'll just end after this. Okay, now execute math test. Okay, so now output is, first it accessed the default constructor, so that is always true. Then it started 5 into 1 is equal to 5, 5 into 2, 5 2 is 10, 5 3 is 15, blah 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 until 5 10 is 50. Okay, that's the output. So I can put any number here and get its multiplication table, and I can also overload this by accepting until what point I want this. Okay, so I'll also show that to you. Okay, this is a 25 multiplication table. Now we will just do some little trick and we will call it a day. Okay, so I can increase it to 2 dimension. Okay, instead of 1, I am increasing it to 2 dimensions. Okay, so let's also call this, instead of this, I would just call this with the same name, multiplication table. So it is like overloaded function. Okay, what is overloading again? Keep the same name but change the signature, right? That's okay. Its return type is void. So let's try and execute this. So when I type m dot multi-table, it will show 2 results. So I'm entering 2 and 6. All right, let's execute the second one. Okay, so the intention is like this. I want to display 1 2 3 4 5 6 until 6, then second. Okay, second numbers 1 until 6 and 2 multiples of 2, 6 multiples of 2, then 3 6 3 third 3 multiples, so 1 multiples 2 multiples, like this it will be repeated. So let's increase by 3 and display more multiples. So I want to display multiples of 1 2 3 until 6 multiples of number of numbers is 3 and until 6 multiples. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 2 and 3. So that whole intention is to use the double for loop, and this is not actually multiplication table. Okay, but it would just show the multiples without asterisk symbol, so it would just like a table. So you can say multiplication table if you want to. It's like 1 1's a 1, 1 2's a 2, 1 3 is a 3, blah blah blah, 2 1's a 2, 2 2's a 4, 2 3 is a 6. Okay, so it's a multiplication table of multiplication table. So I can display multiplication table of 1 2 3 until that point. So the first integer represent what? until how many multiplication tables I want. So this is like multiple multiplication tables without the asterisk symbol, of course. So first argument I can represent number of numbers, and second argument until what point. So I can take it as 10 also standard. So just for the meaning it's xy is meaningless, so let's rename them. So x is for max, always start variable with the short letter, I mean lowercase, max number until max number for table. Okay, so you understand, if I increase max number for until the multiplication table, it would be too cumbersome. Okay, so and y is for alt shift r, right? That's shortcut. R is for table lines or something like that. So basically I want till 10, I can put 10. Okay, so now let's see this realistically. So I want to get multiplication tables of all 10 until 10. So it will be 1 till 10 and 1 2 3 4 5 6 10. So you would get 10 10 10 rows 10 columns. So whenever you're dealing with matrix, you have to put them in the for loops. Okay, so one's multiplication table, two's multiplication table until 10's multiplication table. Okay, so we have seen today what loops and arrays and usage of them, like in terms of multiplication table, how do you use them, and we have also seen some tidbits, what is how to debug a function, how to debug execution, and what are the different parts of debug, like step into step over. Okay, and we will be using these repeatedly. Okay, so don't think that we would be just stopping here. So this is just like introduction, and we would be using them repeatedly so that you can get hands-on. So basic point is to practice. Okay, so we would do more of this, but before that I'll just give you some homework. I don't know, where did I put homework? Oh, so that's too far, you haven't reached that point. Oh. Okay, so create a function that would accept 5 different salaries in double format and print 2 minimum income values. Okay, just try some of this. Okay, otherwise I'll tell you in the next class. All right, so I would send this notes in the email and share this whole project, whatever we learned so far, not the whole thing, so whatever learned in the Google Drive. Okay, so I'll just end the session right here. Good night, see you in the next class. So just remember to practice, otherwise you will forget everything. All right, okay, so you can leave. I'll just make some modifications and share it with you. Okay, yeah, good night, bye bye.